I'm Chandler.
And I'm Leah. And this is cdstv.
I can't believe it! It's
Seniors, we are still holding elections for prom, king or queen. Make sure to check your student email to nominate someone from the class of 2020.
We will pick 5 boys and 5 girls to make up the prom court. You have until Friday, April 17th to nominate, and the week of April 20th to 24th, you'll cast your vote for prom king and queen.
The winners will be mailed their sashes and crowns, and we will celebrate their victory over social media.
CDS TV will continue on. We'll have a new episode on April 24th and May 8th.
Just because you're not in school doesn't mean you can't learn a thing or two. Here is your 90-second lesson with Mr. Forbes.
Hello everyone at home, I'm Mr. Forbes, and did you know the term quarantine comes from pre-Renaissance Italy? After several waves of the Black Death over the years, they used to take ships coming into the port of Venice and have them wait in the dock before unloading cargo or crew. The term comes from 40 giorni, which means 40 days, which is how long you had to wait there before disembarking. I'll bet you can guess what my lesson's about. Let's talk about diseases in this 90-second lesson. One of the things you might have heard recently about COVID-19 is that a lot of people show no symptoms at all. They're called asymptomatic, which means you can actually carry and spread the virus, but you don't feel sick and you don't show any symptoms. This is what's known as a carrier. And let's talk about the most famous carrier of all, Typhoid Mary. Let's start the clock. On the list of things you should sit there and be thankful for right now, aside from Netflix and FaceTime during a lockdown, is the fact that you have clean water. You've never had to worry about Salmonella typhi, a bacteria that thrives in untreated water sources that have been contaminated by an infected person's waste. You know, the pee-pee and the poo-poo. One of the first times in medical history that we learned about a silent carrier of a disease came from Mary Mallon, an Irish immigrant at the turn of the 20th century who came to New York and worked for a number of wealthy families as an in-home chef. She had a reputation for her traditional baked goods, but she was more famous for her dessert, peach ice cream made from fresh peaches. Typhoid was something you saw in poor urban communities, mostly because of the untreated water, but around 1900 there was about 3,000 people who were getting sick from typhoid, including rich families. All should know something about life is that when the poor get sick, who cares? But when the rich get sick, well, we have to take action. So in 1906, George Soper was hired to investigate the wealthy Warren family, who Mary was working for at the time. It's unknown over the years how many people she infected with the disease or when she contracted the disease, but every time they went to investigate her, she moved on to another family. Records were far spottier 100 years ago, and it's not like they had Google or Instagram to find Mary. So, when Soper investigated the house, he found out that Mary was the carrier. And the thing about being a carrier of typhoid is that you end up having it the rest of your life in your urine and your feces. And if you don't wash your hands, which a lot of people didn't do as often 100 years ago, you could carry it on to other people. True, the bacteria would be killed off in anything she baked, but of course, her famous recipe was peach ice cream. This was the culprit. Anyone that had it was now infected. So when her feces tested positive, she was ordered to quarantine on the North Brother Island, an island off the coast of Manhattan. The next unfortunate thing to happen was this, and this is a key part of the story. No one really explained to her or prepared her for life as a carrier. She wasn't aware that for the rest of her life she could infect others. So, when she was released from quarantine, they made her promise not to go back to cooking. The problem was she had no other skills, so as soon as she realized no one was keeping track of her, she changed her name to Mary Brown and went back to cooking in the kitchen. 5 years later, at the Sloan Maternity Hospital, there was an outbreak of typhoid fever. 25 people were infected and 2 died. And they went to investigate. Guess who was working in the kitchen? Mary Mallon. This time they quarantined her for more than 23 years until her death in 1938. There had been a number of other typhoid carriers in the United States since, but Mary was particularly villainized by the media and the press because even though she knew she was a carrier, she went back to work. Nowadays, we have better sanitation and typhus can now be treated with antibiotics, and we have vaccines for people who work in parts of the world where it's common. The good news is, as far as we know, COVID-19 lasts only about 14 days in your body and not the rest of your life, like typhoid. Well, that's all the time I have left. This is your official reminder to hit pause on this video and go wash your hands. It could save your or someone else's life. I'm Mr. Forbes. This has been your 90-second lesson from my house. This is my house.
Hey guys, make sure to keep up with Corona on social media, watch out for announcements on Schoology, and stay up to date with what's going on.
Make sure to check your emails for the link to apply to Student Council. Elections will be April 24th. Good luck to all of our candidates.
Stay tuned for messages from some of your favorite teachers.
Hi Corona. My favorite memory this year was probably the trunk or treat that NHS hosted and how much fun we had at that event.
Seeing the community come out and support the school with all the kids dressed up as well as the students was super fun. I'd also have to say definitely the first day of school and getting to know my students this year who I miss so much.
And seeing all of their fun personalities and all of their little quirks and just getting to bond with all of them.
They pretty much make me laugh on a daily basis, and I have truly enjoyed all my students this year.
Look, his leaves are turning yellow, which is a clear sign that he misses you too.
My favorite part of this year is actually just a fun day we had.
Our Pi Day celebration right before spring break.
I loved my entrepreneurship students who came up with a way to take recycled containers and turn them into planters that we could sell at Market Day.
We were kind of down in the dumps and we took a day to play kickball just as a team building activity. And I can't remember laughing that hard. We had such a great time, and watching so many of our kids running for what I believe is the first time from base to base was just one of the best days of this year, and I'll always remember it.
My favorite memory with you this year was our last concert. It was fantastic. The senior class did an amazing job.
Sarah Williams and Ryan Kinsella dressed up as me and Mr. Carter for Halloween. Their costumes were dead on, and when you glance at a picture, you don't even know that it's not us until you look closer. It was so much fun.
I loved the senior boys in my second hour who taught me about money and risk.
Directing Who Killed Aunt Caroline and Don't Drink the Water with an amazing casting crew.
And dancing off stage with Ann Ross was a lot of fun.
And in Algebra 1, my favorite moment was during our factoring unit. I warned you all at the start of the unit that it is the most important thing we learn all year. What I didn't tell you was that it was also one of the hardest things we learned all year, and if you remember, you guys just rocked that test, so I was so proud of you.
And getting an opportunity to work with you seniors one last time, so thanks a lot, kids.
I'm proud of all my DECA kids and all the hard work that they put in this year to be great.
I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy and spending a lot of time with your family.
Come back and visit me in August, okay?
Bye!
Hold on. This looks really fun, right? Do you want to be a part of the team that puts this all together? If so, you should really consider running for student council. They work together to plan spirit weeks, assemblies, dances, and more. Applications are available on the student council Twitter account.
I'm Chandler.
And I'm Leah.
And this was CDSTV.
CDSTV.